So, hello everybody. It's me, Demetra K of the Demetra K Show. But it's Thursday, so it must be Don't Believe the Hype. Normally, Donovan would be here, but he's somewhere in San Diego doing something. And so he will be back with us tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. Central Time. And so you have just me. So, hey, Robin, how you doing? I'm going to give everybody just a moment to get on here before we get started. Hey, LaMarcus, what's happening, Pam? So again, Donovan is away. He's doing what Donovan does. I don't know. But again, he'll be back here tomorrow with us at 3. Forgive me, my voice is a little bit hoarse, but it'll come back as I continue to speak because I'm going to be doing this by myself. But of course, I will read you guys' comments, Facebook and YouTube, the other side of the conversation. Kenitra, how you doing? And so as I always ask you guys, if you can share it, definitely like it. I would greatly appreciate it. And I'm going to read every one of you guys' comments. And so also like to thank Marcus Guyton for everything he does. Hey, Terry, how you doing? For everything he does behind the scenes. And so today, as you guys can see, hey, T and Tracy, what's up? So we're going to discuss R. Kelly. Now, we're not going to get too much into the case because, as you guys know or may not know, he is on trial. And today is, I guess, day two of the trial. And it sounds like a lot of things have been discovered, but a lot of the things we've already heard about, right? But specifically, what I want to know is, was R. Kelly's fate avoidable? Now, of course, we don't know what his fate is going to be exactly because, he's still on trial, right? But from what I understand, he's looking at upwards of 200 years or so if he is found guilty on the various charges that they have him facing. I think he's got to go to trial in New York and Atlanta and Chicago. So, maybe he'll get off. I don't know. If you ask my personal opinion, not professional, my personal opinion, I don't think he's going to get off. I think something is going to stick. And so the question that I ask is, was his fate avoidable? And I ask that because how many people knew that R. Kelly was doing some of the things that he's accused of doing and turned a blind eye or said, it's not my problem. It's not my business. You know how those girls are. They fast, they grown, and, they going to do what they going to do anyway. And yeah, Pam, if I'm not mistaken, 200 or more years is, what he's looking at. And so I just don't see him getting off completely. You guys remember, oh gosh, was it almost, I guess, 20 years ago or so at this point, where he was on trial for raping, I guess, or what do you call it, statutory rape of a 14-year-old. Jim Marcus, how you doing? And Miss K, how you doing? Yeah, he was he was on trial for that, but he beat the case, right? He beat the case, and for whatever reason, he didn't go away and take his Hail Mary, if you will, and go make a nice life. It sounds like he continued from what they're accusing him of. He continued doing some of the things that he was accused of doing when he was on trial, and it caught up to him. Now, of course, you guys know that they had this Lifetime series. I did not watch, and I've said this before. Donovan and I have talked about this before, and for you guys to wonder where Donovan is, that just came on. He's off doing something, so he couldn't make it today. But I didn't watch the Lifetime series because I didn't need, hey, Thunder, how you doing? I didn't need white people. Now, I know it was a black lady. I think her name was Dream somebody that put the documentary together. But I didn't need a white network to tell me to be mad or outraged at R. Kelly. I already knew those things. I've researched R. Kelly years ago. I want to say I heard about R. Kelly and the stuff he was doing, like even in the 90s, right? But then I really did some research. It's about like 2011 or so. I was like, oh, wow. It's worse than I thought, right? Because I know people who knew him and knew of him, and they went to the same high school, kind of hung around the same places. And they said they would see him, outside of the high school, and they knew, hey, Kevin, how you doing? Thank you too, by the way. They knew he was picking up the girls, from the school, and they even said his choir teacher, which was a lady, right, an older lady, she knew that he was picking the girls up. They said he would go into the music room or the choir room, I guess, and get these girls and pick them up and stuff. And so from the things that I read, he paid for, quite a few abortions, unfortunately, young girls, and again, would pick them up and take them to the mall and, woo them over with gifts and things like that. Also said that a lot of parents knew, and that a lot of these girls, being a young girl, even though, you shouldn't be in a relationship with an older man, a lot of the girls thought that they were in a relationship with him. They thought that was their man, because he wined them and dined them, and, and then he messed with a lot of girls. Hey, Olivia, how you doing? Messed with a lot of girls that was poor, I guess if you will, or didn't have a lot of resources, from the South Side of Chicago. And so when those girls, this is, from what I read, I don't know any of this to be fact, right? But when a lot of those girls would come up pregnant, he would have his people. Now, I didn't watch the Lifetime movie, by the way. I read this, some stuff myself, that he would have his people, whether it was his bodyguards and stuff like that, take the girls to have the abortions, and he would pay off a lot of the parents, most notably the 14-year-old that he was on trial for. He flew her parents, I forget where it was, for like 6 months or so, to another country. Hey, Abdallah, how you doing? Flew them to another country for 6 months or so, and gave them lots of money. And they say that's why when she was on trial, she was like, that ain't me. Even though a lot of people who knew her and him, including her aunt, I guess it was, Sparkle. Hey, Jacqueline, how you doing? Say, yeah, that is her. She said, it's not me. So a lot of people are speculating that he paid her and her people a lot of money to make it go away, per se. And so, again, the question that I ask is, was his situation avoidable? Was there somebody, and I should go back, and I'm not trying to make an excuse. Hey, Terrence, I'm not trying to make an excuse for R. Kelly, but, per what he's saying, and a lot of people that knew him when he was younger said he was also, sexually abused. And they say oftentimes people who are sexually abused, in turn do it to other people. And so, what was his situation avoidable? Was there somebody, and we know that there was. Hey, Todd, was there somebody that should have put a foot to his backside? Somebody that should have taken him out to the woodshed, per se. I was watching a movie. Oh, what was I watching? Oh, it was The Chi. So watching an episode of The Chi where there's a police officer in this particular episode. He was a bad cop, and he went into a bar, and the brothers in the bar, they dealt with him, right? It was like neighborhood street justice. So perhaps if some of that was going on, might R. Kelly have stopped? And might a lot of the, alleged victims, because they're alleged at this point. Hey, Big Cannon, Deadshot, how you doing, Antoine and Tony? Might those victims may not have been victims? And so I'm going to get to you guys' comments. And again, it's just me because Donovan is out and about. He'll be back tomorrow. So I want to get to you guys' comments. Let's see here. Oh, and Moni, I didn't see you. How you doing? All right. So let's see. Peace and blessings to you, Terry. And thank you, Tracy. I love you being here. Yes, Pam, 200 years at least. And Miss K, you say exactly. And Robbie says, I'm still on the fence with R. Kelly. I just found it odd that none of those parents didn't know what was going on? Well, they did. And, there's a reporter by the name of Jim DeRogatis. I think that's how you say his name. He's a white guy, a reporter outside, or he's in Chicago. And he's followed R. Kelly and his career for years. And he is the one that would do a lot of reporting. And he says what would happen is a lot of times when things were filed, and he said it's kind of typical when things are filed against celebrities, they being their people, and I guess maybe they make an agreement with the other side, I don't know. So they agreed to file it at like the last minute on Friday. Why? Because the courts are closed for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 or so, whenever courts close. People are weekend oriented. They're not thinking about, what happened that week. And then when Monday comes, it's another news cycle, right? Perhaps over the weekend, something else has transpired. And so what happens is a lot of the cases go on, I guess, on the bottom of the file, if you will. And so a lot of things were actually filed on R. Kelly, but a lot of people didn't know about it because it just got buried, if you will, in the court cases, and people didn't really know to look, but he did. And also when he wrote the article, kind of labeling R. Kelly a monster, he says, after doing all the research I did, he says, I learned that Black women and Black girls are the least cared about people in the world. He said, because had this been white girls that R. Kelly was doing that to, said he wouldn't have done it to as many girls as he did it to, allegedly, and got away with it, right? So the parents did know, and in some of those filings did say the parents knew how, some of the parents were distraught that their daughters had abortions, didn't know, and they knew, but a lot of them turned a blind eye because they thought their daughter was going to be the next Aaliyah. Of course, you guys know that was problematic as well because he married 15-year-old Aaliyah, right? And Jamarcus said he's sick. He needs help. Yeah, I agree. He definitely needs help, and it sounds like that's something he never got. Now, you guys got to remember, R. Kelly. It was said that he had $200+ million at one point in time in his career. You guys, there wasn't anything at one point in time that R. Kelly didn't touch. Whether it was a commercial, a movie, he had every album he put out, and the Isley Brothers and just different people he wrote and produced songs for. He was wealthy, and so when you have that kind of money, who's gonna tell you no? Who's gonna say, hey, you know what, Aura, that little girl's a little too young. I don't think you should be bringing her back to your house. I don't think she should be in the recording sessions with us without her mom and dad. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you got that kind of money, unfortunately, you surround yourself with yes people. In addition, it is said that some of the people that he hung out with, including some of the record executives, were guilty in messing with the young girls as well. So, you see what I'm saying? So he didn't get help because he had a lot of yes people around him. And Moni, he says, I have a problem that innocent young ladies have to be given venereal diseases from herpes, something that nobody should have to put up with in modern time ever. Remember what he did to Aaliyah at 15. Yeah, and so that's the allegations as well as that a lot of those girls got something that they may or may not be able to get rid of, due to him being promiscuous, if you will. That's the word, and I guess in the court filings and all of that. So yeah, and I remember what he did to Aaliyah and Kevin. You say you are exceptionally pretty today. I appreciate that. You say anyway, R. Kelly is a further victim of racist justice system, and that's not to say I'm a fair judge. Half the women in my love life have been 20 to 25 years younger. This is just a sham. Americans do not care about young women. So what is the trial really about? It ain't to do justice. Well, I guess I would ask you, if you don't mind sharing, were the girls that you were talking to that were 20 to 25 years younger, were they minors? Because, while it's not unusual for men or women to date people younger than them, it should be unusual that they are minors. Would you agree with that? And the trial may be about something else. I don't know, but they definitely, are trying him on trafficking young girls, and I hate to gossip, but they even said some boys. So I don't know. That's kind of a lately, a Johnny come lately type of revelation, if you will. So I don't know. And Olivia say, hello, Demetra and everyone. Hello to you as well. And Abdallah, you say he evidently angers some people in high places. There are others who have done even worse things than R. Kelly. So no, absolutely. But you guys know, and Abdallah, I know especially here in America, the system is not designed for Black people. And I'm one of those type of people. I try not to get into like whataboutisms, because it almost sounds like, well, what about them? Or what about Elvis or Jerry Lee Lewis or any of the other men, the white men who were discovered being with young girls. Even Bob Dylan. You guys know he's a folk singer from the '60s, where a lot of even R&B artists admired him. Sam Cooke being one of them. Bob Dylan was accused of raping a 12-year-old in the '60s when he was like 22 or something. If it's true, I don't know, but that's the allegations. More than likely that they won't do anything. But R. Kelly, he doesn't benefit from the same system that they did. Well, I would say this: he did at least once when he got off on the 14-year-old, rape case. So I don't know. And greetings unto you, Jacqueline, as well. Terrence and Todd, he say Minister Farrakhan said that we have to watch how we judge other people, because in our lives, most of us are failures. No, you know what? I agree with that. And one thing I would say too, definitely with that, is R. Kelly has the main stage. We don't. People don't see or know us, personally, if you will, because we don't have a stage like he does. We're not before all of the world like R. Kelly is. And so we unfortunately get to see his shortcomings and, hear about the things that he has done. But so no, that's absolutely right. And I'm not here to judge R. Kelly. I think, that's going to be done whether I want to judge him or I agree with what he did or not. That's, up to the jury, unfortunately, or the judge, I don't know, to figure out what's going to go on with him. But at the end of the day, Todd, I think even the minister will agree that, R. Kelly did it to himself in some regards, right? And yes, Robin, it is really sad. And Tony, you say, my sister had a friend who claimed R. Kelly was having sex with her. She was about 15 at the time. No one believed her, right? Because, R. Kelly is a star. And there's a lot of people now that don't believe that R. Kelly is guilty. There's a lot of people now who say, well, those young girls were fast. They wanted to be with R. Kelly. And, they could have said no. And they mamas and they dad, all of that. And so a lot of people, even in that article I read with Jim DeRogatis, there was a DJ. I think he was a DJ at a local radio station or something there. And he was just like, it's just hard for me to believe. I'm sorry. I'm an R. Kelly fan. And, people make up these reasons as to why it can't be true. And if it is true, well, what did they do? They could have said no. That kind of stuff, right? And Antoine says, hello, Queen Demetra in room. And hello to you. And Robin says, hurt people hurt people. Yeah, that is very true. People who are hurt and they don't deal with the pain. Yeah, they kind of just keep repeating it and doing it to other people, right? And so I'm going to get to you guys' comments really quick. And Deadshot, how you doing? Big Cannon, hello. And Demetrius, how you doing? And Kona, what's going on with you? Say, is it true he was messing with boys too? That's what they say. Now, is it true? I don't know. That's the allegations, and I saw the headline, but I didn't read it because I'm like, okay, you know what? I just didn't feel like I needed to, but that's the word, that there's a boy or two, or probably a man now, that is accused R. Kelly of being sexually inappropriate with him. So I don't know. And then Tony say over 20 years ago, with the Aaliyah thing. Dewan, how you doing? Says, hey, Demetra, you looking good. Oh, thank you. Says, yeah, here we go again with Brother Polite. Yeah, and I saw that. Somebody actually sent me Tasha K. She's a YouTuber. I guess she kind of is like the Wendy Williams of YouTube, from what I understand. She broke the news. Somebody sent it to her, that he was accused of doing something inappropriate to his girlfriend's 14-year-old daughter. Now, I haven't seen anything official about it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I just haven't seen it. Then I haven't looked either. Like a court document or an arraignment or anything. I haven't seen it, but that's the word. And per Tasha K, it sounds like they got some evidence on him. So you guys know Brother Prolitis was one of the pioneers of the new conscious community, if you will. Seems like it kind of got off track a little bit. I don't know, got Hollywood, if you will. So I don't know. But I did hear that. Jacqueline, you say, unfortunately, a big foot to the rear does not deter the behaviors. Yeah. And I guess when I say like a foot to the backside, I guess I mean, really snatching him up, old school style. A lot of us weren't there. I can tell y'all about some things that my father did when I was younger, but then, I don't want to cause problems for him, but I'll just say that he and his friends, associates, they didn't play that stuff in the neighborhood, And so I guess what I'm saying is, back then, men who knew of men like that, and I always reference this movie, Always Outnumbered, Always Outdone or Outgunned, I think it is, with Lawrence Fishburne and Bill Cobbs. A couple other people were in this movie. I think was Forrest Whitaker in this movie? No, it might have been somebody, I don't know. But anyway, it's when Lawrence Fishburne was a ex-con, if you will, and he was trying to acclimate back into the community, and they learned of a man who was messing with young girls, and they went and saw about him. They said, hey, you better knock it off. And he didn't. So they went back and saw him again. They say, if you don't leave, we are going to. He didn't leave, and they knocked on his door, and they made sure he left. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by foot to the backside. And Kevin says, I don't mean to belabor the point, but Americans elected a child prostitute abuser to high office of president. I think that justice for our youth is better served by not thinking that having consensual sex with a woman of any age, not subjected to the laws of man. So I guess I'm not understanding quite what you're saying. Are you saying that age ain't nothing but a number? I don't know. Clarify that for me, if you will. And Antoine says the thing about R. Kelly is all his troubles. I think his troubles comes from the video he put out on his own. And which video was that? Was that something recently that he put out? Because I know from what I understand, and I didn't see it. I didn't watch the one with the 14-year-old. I know a lot of people who watched it. I just couldn't watch it, Doesn't it sound like maybe that one was leaked? I don't know. And DeWine said he's the modern day Smokey Robinson. Well, Smokey Robinson, I never heard him mess with a bunch of girls, but was his wife, I think her name was Claudette. Was she younger than him back in the day? Was she younger than him? And I know, and I'm not implementing Smokey Robinson in this, but I know a lot of entertainers loved Aretha Franklin. And there's some rumors that even some of them were, messing around with her. Or I should say messing around because she was a child, were sexually abusing her when she was very young, like 12, 13, 14 or so. So I don't know if that's what you're implying. Big Cannon says, I have heard R. Kelly gave his catalog of music to Aaliyah's family so they wouldn't prosecute him. I don't know who has the album. I mean, his work. They may, but I mean, it doesn't sound like they're complying. I mean, it sounds like, I know Aaliyah's mom, for I understand, didn't want anything to do with the documentary and all of that. But as far as them having his catalog, I know that he doesn't have it. He's even said how he's never owned any of his masters. Can you imagine all of the money that R. Kelly would be making off of his own catalog? Can y'all imagine? And he doesn't own it. In fact, one of the articles that I read recently said that he needed money to buy a suit to go on trial because he just he doesn't have any money at all. So I don't know who's, paying his legal fees, but yeah, it sounds like he's pretty bad off. Sharon, hello, how are you? He says, good early evening, Demetra and everyone. Yes, indeed. And Abdali says, I hear you, but when do these females and their parents have to take responsibilities for their decisions? Most appear to be gold diggers. I agree with you. I don't think R. Kelly should be answering for this by himself. I think they all should be. I think if you, as a parent, because there was you guys remember, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago at this point, there's a set of parents whose daughter was commandeered, if you will, by R. Kelly, and they said that she was being held hostage and they couldn't get a hold of her and all of that. But they also admitted that they walked her up to the stage after one of his shows and handed him a demo, and said, "Hey, this is my daughter." I'm paraphrasing, but she's a singer, and I want you to hear this. And for whatever reason, you guys probably can, figure it out. He took a liking to her. And they said he promised them that it would always be somebody to supervise her, be in the same room, chaperone. But it turns out a lot of those chaperones were just women who at one point in time were also abused. And so I say all of that to say, yes, I agree with you. I agree that those parents should be held responsible too, because in a way they kind of sold their daughters for fame and for money, hence the gold digger statement. And Channy, how you doing? He says, but where were the parents in all of this? They were there. They were there until, their daughters got snatched up, and they weren't able, from what they were saying, they weren't able to get a hold of them. R. Kelly cut off all ties with them. And, of course, then they went to the media. Then they had to kind of explain, well, R. Kelly met my daughter because I walked her up to the stage. And it's like, you mean to tell me you walked your daughter up to the stage after that international court case with him and the 14-year-old, even after hearing about the allegations with Aaliyah marrying a 15-year-old, you gave R. Kelly your daughter? So yeah, I agree. They should, do some time with them. And Kevin says, and another reason this should not be a criminal matter is that Americans see Africans born in America. We tried children as adults. Well, yeah, depending on, I guess, what the crime is. But I mean, do you think that grown people should be in relationships with young people? Now, listen, back in the early 1900s, it was legal. There was no age of consent, if you will. So it wasn't uncommon for a grown man of 40, 50 to marry a 12-year-old. That was common. A lot of older men took very young wives. But then the laws changed to say these kids, because that's what they are, right? They need a chance to be a kid. Right. So are you saying that should be okay? I guess I don't want to, misjudge what you're saying. Sharon says, we don't know. Okay. And Dewan is saying the movie producer that adopted an Asian girl, raised her, then married her. Elvis married a 14-year-old. So you're talking about Woody. What is that man's name? Woody Allen. Woody Allen married his stepdaughter. And from a baby, they raised her, right? Raised her from a baby, and then they ended up, he was married to Mia Farrow of Rosemary's Baby, if you will. And yeah, he married her. And that is problematic, but she was an adult though, but still kind of gross, right? Like that's your daughter, right? And Dewan said Jay-Z was looking at Beyonce when she was 14. Yeah, I've heard some things about Jay-Z as far as some of the younger entertainers that he was with. As an adult, I don't think those things are odd, but is it right? Because right now, I guess if you're dealing with a minor, it's a legal thing, right? It's against the law, especially in different states. The age of consent is 16, 17, but most everywhere else is 18. So is it right? And Sharon, you say yes, it's true. And Ms. K says, I feel some of his workers and the I'm sorry, maybe comment cut off. They said, I feel like some of his workers and the parents need to be by his side in court. Oh, absolutely. They need to be shackled together. I agree with you. I don't think they're innocent at all. I'm almost like, how dare you? How dare you, sit up and talk about the things that R. Kelly did to your daughter when you took your daughter to him? It's like, don't act surprised. You are not the victim, but your daughter is the victim, allegedly, right? And good evening, Georgia Rose. How are you? And Jacqueline say, it doesn't matter if the young girls were fast. He was the adult. I 100% agree with you. But you know, especially in our community, that's what we say. Oh, that she was fast. Look at her, hot in the pants. Look at her just always around grown men. And I say this all the time. I don't care if she was butt naked around grown men. That doesn't make a grown man, or even if it's a woman, right? Whatever. That doesn't make him. He shouldn't get to the point to where he comes outside of himself and do something he would not do, right? You remove yourself from that situation, and get away from that girl or whatever. Tell her parents, I don't know. But yeah, sure, there's fast girls out there, but that's open to interpretation, right? But that doesn't give anybody a right to mess with young girls or boys, because on the flip side, there's a lot of grown women that mess with young boys. I can't tell y'all how many of my male friends have said that their first time and or they were involved in a relationship as a 14, 15, 16-year-old with grown women in their 30s. I had a friend that said his friend's mom, he was like, I think he said he was 13, lost his virginity to his friend's mom, was in her 30s. He said she would wait for him at the bus stop every day, and they would go to her house. So it ain't just the man. And Gregory, how you doing? He says, smash the like button and tweak the algorithms. Yes, indeed. I appreciate that. Press the like button. I guess, as he says, that makes people want to see what's going on here. So I appreciate that. And Sharon, you say awfully bad. And Jonelle, how you doing? And Sharon says, yeah, you remember. And Frank, what's going on with you? And Kenitra says, the parents are just as culpable as Kelly is. They should be standing alongside of him in court. Aaliyah's parents should have thrown him under the jail, but her image was more important. Yeah. And, because it sounds like once they found out that their daughter, being Aaliyah, and him were married, they put an end to that, right? They were shocked and horrified. But my thing is this too, and I'm not trying to indict her parents because, it's hard enough dealing with the loss of her. But your daughter's a minor, and you just let her trounce all over the country with this grown man. And not only that, I mean, if you listen to her album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, some of those lyrics on some of those songs is like, damn, okay, now that makes sense, right? But, I find it hard to believe that her parents or people, whoever, never heard the album and said, might he be talking about our Aaliyah? You know what I'm saying? But I agree with you. I don't think the parents should get away with it, if you will. And Olivia, you say, yes, thank you, Jacqueline. He was the adult. Yes, indeed. And Kenitra says, in no shape, form, or fashion am I excusing his behavior, but those parents should not be let off the hook. No, I'm with you. I think if you walk your child up to a stage of a alleged or a notorious pedophile, or they call it something else because the girls are older. I can't remember something, whatever they call it. But you walk him up there to an alleged pedophile, and you think that you should, people should feel sorry for you? I don't. I agree with you. I think they should be in trouble too. And Sharon say, really? And Lamarcus says he sold his catalog. He sold it, but from what I understand too, I don't think he ever owned it. Because from what he was saying, there was a song he had that he made right after, was it after the documentary I think came out? Oh, I can't think of the name of that song. I'm Sorry, I think it was called. It was 20 minutes long, and he was just kind of giving a play-by-play of what happened to him. And in that, he was saying that they, as being a record executive, stole his work from him by, and they do it all the time. We heard about Biz Markie and DJ Kool V. They wrote Just a Friend, and they never made a dime off of it. So, R. Kelly was saying how they stole the work from him by how the contract was written up. So it's not unusual, right? And Steve, how you doing? He says, Kay Dweller, Elvis Presley married a child. Yes, he did. But again, y'all, those are their rules. Those are their laws. I mean, hell, you had a whole pedophile island with Jeffrey Epstein, Lolita Island, where a lot of big names, running around today in very high offices and entertainers and all kind of people going over there with young girls. So, this is their world. But as I said earlier, R. Kelly did get away with it once when he was found not guilty. For the 14-year-old, he just, for whatever reason, got overzealous and thought, well, who gonna check me, boo? Yes, Sharon, it is a sickness. And Brotham, how you doing? You say OHAS system of corruption is trying to make the black man the face of sexual assault while ignoring the OHAS male behavior. I can see that they're trying to pin it on, black men, not to absolve anybody of being sexually inappropriate with children or anybody. But yeah, I mean, the oppressor is the originator of that. I mean, what the hell was they doing to us in slavery? We didn't consent to none of that. They took it, did whatever they wanted to the women, men, and children. So, yeah, they're trying to make black men the face of it. But as long as we know where it originated from, we just need to keep telling the story. But yeah, most notably, Bill Cosby, he was the first big fish, if you will, of Me Too. So, and Stevie says, I'm not condoning messing with kids. Nah, never. No one should ever, like, remember when you were a child, all of us, when we were children, can you imagine being in a relationship with a grown adult? Somebody who, has been there, done that. Imagine you being 12, 13, 14, and some 30-year-old, wants to get in a relationship with you. We don't have the mental or emotional capacity to deal with that. Hell, most of us now, I'm 50, wouldn't have the emotional or mental capacity to deal with being manipulated, if you will. You know what I mean? So kids, it'd be even worse. Gloria, how you doing? Says, hello, Demetra. I'm here listening. I just feel that R. Kelly needed help a long time ago from his family. His brother knew what happened. Yes. Sounds like his brother knew what happened. And wasn't it a family member or somebody that abused him from what he is saying as well? So yeah, he needed, and that's what I meant. If somebody really would have just snatched him up, like the people that saw him driving up to the high school after school as a grown man picking up little girls, or somebody would have went and busted his tires or his windshield and said, Negro, no. Stay your ass away from this high school. You are too grown. And if you come back over here, I'm calling the po-po or whatever, or we going to break your legs the next time. I don't know. I just think a lot of people just gave him a pass. They knew it was R. Kelly, Kales, and they just was like, oh, well. And Kevin says, my first wife was 17 years old and I was 18. Okay, well, that's not bad. He said, it lasted for 25 years for me and only 5. My next woman was 27 years old and I was 43. Still not bad. It was a good sexual relationship, but nothing else. My current woman is 42 years old and I'm 67 years old. We have been together 13 years and we are compatible, period. So I don't know what the age alone is sufficient cause to call him a criminal. Americans are too pretentious about caring what happens to Black youth and people. Well, per the ages that you gave me, there's nothing unusual about that. I mean, 42 and 67, that's grown adults, right? It's not a huge difference. I mean, yeah, 25 years, but I mean, she's grown. She's not like 18, but then she would still be an adult and be young, but there's nothing wrong with that. If you find compatibility with, somebody that age, then, I say good for you, but there's nothing inappropriate there, right? And Sharon say, and Jonelle says, first, this nation has to arrest Joe Biden for all the children he's rubbing in plain sight, more or less his travels to islands with his now deceased buddy, Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. Well, yeah, we've seen photos and stuff, right? And there's been allegations, of course, You know, they swept that under the rug while he was running for president. And he even recently called for the resignation of Andrew Cuomo, the ex-governor of New York, soon to be anyway, for all of the allegations that he was facing. And I was like, now this got to be a joke. How is Joe Biden calling for the resignation of Cuomo, and he is the president now, and he was accused of the same stuff? I don't know. LaMarcus says, am I wrong for saying I hope he gets off? Because we weren't there and don't know what happened. No, I don't think you're wrong. I think everybody's entitled to their opinions. I think a lot of people want R. Kelly to get off because, let's admit it, we all like R. Kelly. You know, we like his music. We had some good memories. We all stepped in the name of love. We all, you know what I'm saying? We all, you know, maybe was in a relationship when it feels like you're ready. Yeah, all of that, right? But that song is kind of problematic too, if you really think about it. So we all have some memories of, you know, R. Kelly's music. So I don't think you're wrong if you hope to get off, but I understand the connection. You know, you feel like R. Kelly is a part of your life, as I think a lot of people do. I think the real question is it wrong if he gets off and he's guilty? See what I'm saying? And Channing says, so the parents were complicit. Oh, most definitely. Come on now. Everybody and their mama heard about that trial. The Boondocks even did, you know, an episode, you know, cartoon Boondocks. They did an episode of R. Kelly, you know. So it was everywhere. It was like one of the hottest discussed topics. No, it wasn't R. Kelly, man. That was R. Kelly. That was R. Kelly. Now I don't care what he say. Nah, I didn't look like R. Kelly. So, and the parents, roughly around my age, 50-ish, give or take. So if I knew about it, how did they not know about it? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they were complicit. They saw, you know, their kid being the next Aaliyah. So they, you know, trusted that he was going to do the right thing with their kids. Sharon says, strange, still their dad. And Steve, you say, me personally, I always love mountain lion older women. Mountain lion, oh, so not cougars, but mountain lion older women. Okay, like, oh, I guess I would be considered a cougar to somebody. I don't know. What is the age of a cougar, by the way? And Gloria says, after the brother failed to get money, he started telling on R. Kelly. Yeah, I've heard that too. You know, that it was the brother that kind of was like, yo, I got something to tell you, right? But it would almost have to say, well, dude, how you know about it and you just now talking about it, right? So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. All right, let me get back to these comments. They skipped up. Okay, and then Sherry says, so true, Demetra. And Big Cannon says, I have a 16-year-old daughter and her mind is still very impressionable. What type of parent would leave a developing young lady in the hands of a grown man? That is the question. What parent would do that? Unless they was looking for a payday. Because you know what? I'm not trying to be cruel, but people sell their kids, maybe not here, here's $5, I'll take $5 for them. People sell their kids all the time. Not overtly, but for fame. For money. I need the money. You know, yeah, sure, I'll trust you with my daughter. Bring her back in one piece. You know? So you make a very good point. And Steve says, all this ungodly thing started with these nasty sleeping with their families and these colonizers. Yeah, it started back then. And Mercy Always 23, how you doing? He says, he groomed her. Yes. When we're talking about Aaliyah, he did that, you know. But I don't know. I guess I didn't look too much into it because I was 22 or so, I think, when Aaliyah first, you know, came on the scene. So I don't think I looked too much into it. But looking back, it's like, yeah, you know, that was kind of odd. This grown man, now R. Kelly, you know, was in his 20s, I think late 20s, right? But this grown man is running around with this kid. Even in the videos, he was kind of off to the side. But you could tell there was something odd going on there. But I agree with you, Mercy. He definitely groomed her, right? I mean, more so to the point to where they ran off and got married and she didn't tell nobody, you know? And D, how you doing? He says, Woody Allen was never married to Mia. They were in a, I think he meant long-term relationship is what it was. Okay, yeah, I didn't know they weren't married, but they had kind of step kids together because the girl, his daughter wife, she's Asian and Mia's white and so is he. And so I think they adopted her or something like that. And he ended up leaving with her when she was 18, 19 or something like that. Weird. And Mercy said Woody Allen groomed her into adulthood. So you're talking about Woody Allen. And okay. And Kevin says law is supposed to be fair, right? So how is it lawful for same-sex arguing is natural and a man who says he has the right to love even if others don't agree? Well, then the law is not fair. Well, I know if I think I know what you're talking about as far as like same sex, that's not legal either. California recently revised the law, and you might have heard a lot of people talk about saying, oh, California legalized pedophilia. They didn't. They just took it off to where it wouldn't be a crime, because I guess at one point in time for same-sex relationships in some capacity, I can't remember which it was, and they also took off labeling people sexual, you have to register as a sex offender for the rest of your life. So let's say she or he was 15 and the other person was 18. Should a person be labeled a sex offender for the rest of their life due to that small age difference? Now, it's still statutory rape because they weren't of consent depending on where they are, but should they be labeled? So I think that's what, especially the law there. But I mean, we know the law is never going to be fair when it comes to us, right? And Sharon, you say, who, me? And in the mixed radio, how you doing? He says, we have parents who pimp their daughters, draws out in a heartbeat. Oh, yeah, that money, for money, people do all kind of, what did the OJ say? They'll do something to their own mama for the love of money, and they knew R. Kelly wasn't going to act right, but they maybe thought, well, there's a small chance he will, since I'm daddy. Because remember, there was some daddies that walked their daughter into the hands of R. Kelly. Some daddies that, supposed to be the first protector of their daughters. And so maybe some part of them was like, yeah, he ain't going to do it because, daddy mess him up. He know better than mess my daughter. But then you still hand delivered your daughter to him. So Mr. Pyre Brain, how you doing? He says all of the mothers and fathers need to be prosecuted. I agree. And the bodyguards, because there's some people, I think some of the bodyguards or some of his folks had the videos, tapes, and now they're turning them over years and years later. It's like, well, what you doing with it still? Why you ain't been turned that over? It sounds like you was, waiting for the right opportunity to do it, right? So Sharon says, even if some did move away, right? And Brother Sammy, how you doing? He says, in the nation of Islam, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad forbid men to bear or be left, I think he meant, alone with their own daughters. Because in our communities, there was hardly any woman that haven't been abused by a male family member, not to think of leaving them with a strange man. Yes. And I talk about this all the time, especially when me and Donovan did our podcast. I talk about it just as, a woman, and at the time, a girl. And I don't want to say especially Black girls, but I remember being a young girl and, having grown men say little slick stuff to me or to one of their friends about me, oh, look at that. She going to be something when she grown, and, that kind of stuff, right? Or you show is cute. You show is fine. That kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I agree. You shouldn't be leaving your daughters alone with, people you don't know. Men and women nowadays, right? Because the women be up to some nonsense too. It's unfortunate. Frank says, women do it crazy. Okay. And Steve says, parents stop these young girls from sitting in these men's laps. That's what the old people used to tell young girls to stop doing in my days. Yes, my days as well. Now, of course, the little girl is most likely innocent, or she don't know. She just wants to sit on Uncle so and so's lap, or mom's Uncle Bobby's, her friend wants to sit on his lap. But in a way, you have to convey that to her that it's inappropriate without making her feel bad. And of course, as the man whose lap it belongs to, he needs to find a way to say, here, Sally, sit right here, sit right next to me, without making her feel weird type of thing. But everybody needs to be on the same page. You don't sit on grown men's laps, especially a man you don't know or not that familiar with outside of your father, right? Maybe even your grandfather. And Jetfly leaks the real deal. How you doing? He says, R. Kelly brought all this attention on himself. If he was married to a real woman and not scouting out young females with no ambition, underage, premature, he wouldn't be fighting for his freedom. I agree with you. I agree. But some people, as they say, have a propensity. They have a hankering, a liking. They're used to, drawn to certain things. And I think that was true for R. Kelly. I don't think, because he married, wasn't it Andrea? And they seemed like their relationship was weird, but she was older. She wasn't a minor, right? But doesn't seem like that's what he was drawn to. And a lot of pedophiles, if that's what you want to call them, they see themselves with children. They don't see themselves with grown men or women. So, but I agree with you. He should have been with somebody age appropriate. Sharon says, where is Donovan? Tell him and his cat that I said hello. Donovan is running around San Diego somewhere. He didn't make it back in time, but he'll be back tomorrow for tomorrow's show, Free Flow Friday. And Kevin say, correct, a man will not be tempted outside of his manhood. And I think that we must stop making sex laws. We should make laws that empower parents to have absolute control over their children they are raising, get government out of families. I agree with that. But then I don't agree with it because there's some families, as we see in this case of R. Kelly, that don't have a sense God gave a cricket. So, and if I think I get what you're saying, it should be up to the parents to whether their children are with a grown individual. I don't know. I think there should be some barriers to that because you can have kids. That don't make you a good parent, right? And Kenitra, you say they still do that in rural Louisiana. So they younger people, yeah. And then Sherry say, was it off? And forgive me, I don't know what that was for because I've been talking to Honeydew. How you doing? Says, hey everybody, where's my baby daddy today? Your baby daddy is in San Diego. In the mixed radio says the white LGBT are promoting the gay stuff in the cartoons. I've heard some stuff about it. I think really that's the way of trying to bring it to the mainstream, normalize it, if you will. Of course, there's a lot of people who have issues with that. And I just say this just for me. I would want to be my daughter's 28, almost 29 now, but I would want to be in control if she was a child of what she learns, whether it was gay or straight. I wouldn't want any of that rammed, into her mind without my permission or me even looking at it, right? So I just think we should let kids be kids regardless of where it's coming from, right? In their own time, they should learn about certain things. Sharon says, sick. And Miss K says, it's amazing how people turn a blind eye for money. Oh, man. There's some people out there pimping their wives to pay the rent right now. And I wish I was making that up, but I'm not. And Sharon says, I agree with you. Say black man, maybe? Oh, it says, correction, black man, period. Okay. And he says, Google trying to control. Okay. And Jerome, how you doing? He says, sister. And Kenitra says, as parents, we have to do better at protecting our children from perverts. Stop being so trusting. That is the key. When I was in dental assisting school, I'm telling y'all, I got stories for days of the stuff I used to do. Dental assisting school is one of the things that I went to. We were taught in regards to AIDS and HIV is to treat everybody as if they have it. Treat it universally, right? And what I mean by that is you just assume. You don't look at a person and say, well, they're good. I don't need to use my gloves. And they don't look like they have it. I'm just going to trust that they don't have it, right? So the same thing should be true in what you said, Kenitra, about parents not being too trusting. Assume, I don't want to say like label everybody as that, but just take precautions. Err on the side of caution, right? Just be cautious, because it's better to be on this side of things than the other side of, oh, mommy, daddy, this happened to me. And then you're like, how could I? I was right there. You know, that kind of thing, you know. And Jonelle says, they just locked up the guy known as Brother Polite for rape of minor. Our girls got to be protected by all and any means. Yes, indeed. I heard about that. I haven't seen anything official, like any documents, but I've seen it trending since about maybe Tuesday, I guess it was. So that's not good at all. But you're right. Girls need to be protected, and boys too, you know. And in the mixed radio said there are some separate rules for black men and white men. Oh, a show. And Sharon says, Mr. Willie didn't stand a chance in violating little girls, period. Yeah, back in the day. Now, Maya Angelou, she talked about it. She says when she was, raped as an 8-year-old, they knew, I guess it was a family friend or somebody, I don't know. And she said as she was recovering in the hospital, she can hear her family outside talking to the police. And the police said, yeah, we found him, in a bad way at the bottom of a river or something like that. And she said she knew, even as a child, what happened to him. She knew her people, they vindicated her honor, if you will, by not letting him make it to the jail, if you will, right? Anais, how you doing? Shalom to you as well. And Sharon says, there is another Sharon. Don't get us messed up. I won't. And Steve says, it's just the nature of some of these colonizers. Yes, indeed. And in the mixed radio says, Biden need a bag of Depends. You wow. Then yeah, they say Biden is cognitively going through some things, I guess. AJ, how you doing? It says, just tuning in, and I'm glad that you are. And Sharon, you say last names matter. Okay. And Jonelle said, Dave Chappelle also did a skit. Yes. Oh my God. So right. Like, how can you not know that R. Kelly, was in trouble for those things, right? And let me see. Let me catch up on these comments. I know I'm behind a little bit. And AJ says, sure did. And Honeydew says, people turn a blind eye for free and or the thought of money also. Yep. He said, Bob Dylan on the chopping block right now for a 14-year-old. I heard she was 12 and he was 22. Yes. Lynn, how you doing? He says, hi, Demetra. I'm hearing black men deflected to either the parents or to a white man to do this too. It seems some black men find it hard to be in the spotlight when it comes to accountability. Yeah, but I would say some, not all, because a lot of black men on here who do not agree with what he did. But I think that was probably R. Kelly's original problem, is that a lot of people just didn't hold him accountable. And ultimately he should have held himself accountable, but enough people knew he was doing that to, snatch him up, and they didn't. And Steve says, now, sister, says hot, in parentheses, no disrespect intended. Oh, so you're hot. Oh, thank you. But, I'm grown too, so. But thank you for that. And Brother Sammy says, I believe I can fly. R. Kelly has a God-given gift. Yeah, all of that stuff. All of those songs. I mean, people talking about, I will never listen to his music again. It's like, why? It's music. It doesn't make you a bad person to listen to his music. I mean, you can listen to it, like Brother Sammy said, he was gifted. So, and he made good music. And Michelle Marbell, how you doing? It says, if people knew he was molested and looked the other way, it says, I refuse to watch the sex tape. Me too. He says, I heard the details sick. I'm 2 years older than Aaliyah. I always believe the allegations and rumors. Yeah. I never wanted to watch either. I don't understand. And then people were selling the tape. They were selling it like on DVDs. It's like, and you want to buy that? Why? I don't know. Janelle says people will exploit themselves, more or less children for revenue in the society. Okay. Money make people do some strange things. The pound says for the love of money, you know the rest. Yes, indeed. And Sharon says true correction. Honeydew says Polite. I think he made Polite created his own church police, a full a full scammer with his 5 wives. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Sound like he kind of went left a little bit, away from his original talking points. And Thunder says, if you really 50, keep on doing what you've been doing. Black don't crack. And I'll say that's respectfully. Oh, well, yeah, I'm 50 for real. I'm 50 today. I feel 60, but no, I'm 50. Thank you. My mama had good genes as well. And Michelle, you say, I want him to pay. It's just hard to ignore. No one saved him and he became a predator, but he needs consequences. Yeah, I mean, you just, and again, it's all alleged, but you just can't do that to people, kids, and get away with it. I know, like I said, we like R. Kelly, we like his music, but, if he did those things, he's got to pay. Unfortunately, right? And Sharon says, what did Light do? And I think your comment cut off. So if you're talking about Brother Polite, he's alleged that he did something inappropriate with his girlfriend's 14-year-old daughter. Michelle says, I want R. Kelly to pay. Okay, he says, I know it's hard. He was allegedly molested and no one tried to save him. Yeah, that's true for a lot of people. Were molested and people's like, but did you die? Or, that was your uncle or your auntie that, we're going to keep it in the family type of thing. You all right. Well, if you wouldn't have worn that little bitty skirt or whatever, or especially when it happens to young boys, what do they tell young boys? Oh man, are you mad? Shoot, I wish it was me. How many times did we hear about when boys are molested by their teachers? And you hear a lot of men like, shit, I didn't have no teachers like that. I mean, I wouldn't have said nothing. It's wrong, right? Honeydew says that 19-minute song that I refused to listen to. I listened to it. I was curious and I felt bad for him, because he was trying to explain, I guess. It was tragic, to say the least. It was tragic. If that's the word if I had to associate it with, it was very tragic. Sharon says crazy alien, nasty, crazy stuff. And Honeydew say 19-minute song by R. Kelly. He said who molested him apparently. Yeah, I forget who he said it was, but he said a whole lot of stuff in that 19-minute song. And I'm like, wow, the song is good. Like you can almost see it being a movie or something. That's how the song played, him singing to it, and he had his rise and fall. It was dramatic and all of that. But I just thought it was very tragic. And then Sharon, you also say, for real. And Michelle says, I'm still stuck on him being illiterate. People helped him do all of this. Yes. And so that's another thing he said. He can't read. I don't know if he can now, but he said he can't read. And that's how he ended up getting duped on his contracts because he couldn't read it. He just signed, yeah, sign here. Everything's good, man. Sign here. Okay, flash a big check in front of you. You think everything's good. And before you know it, you signed your masters away. And you don't have any rights to your stuff. Like, who in modern times is writing or wrote like R. Kelly? Not a lot of people, right? And he doesn't own that work. You also say, and hiding the videos is possession of child pornography. Yeah, and they told people if you're in possession of that video or you're watching it and you get caught, you're going to be in trouble. But somehow people thought that was the thing to watch. I don't know. It's just weird. And Sherry says, I hope so. Parents are responsible. I think he meant, yes. And he says, just being a girl, period. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I, as a young girl, have heard men say things about me and, creepy. Like, why are you even looking at me like that? But I hate to say it, but I think a lot of girls are just used to it, Slippery Slope, how you doing? He says, we are not to whore out our women. We are not to whore out our women or men. Judgment is going forth. Accept it and repent. The courts of our enemies, however, will not give their judgment. And for that, they will have to answer also. No, R. Kelly's looking at over 200 years from what I understand. Now, I don't know if that's fair and just um, for what he's accused of. I don't know, but that's life, right? If he gets even half of that, hell, if he even gets 1/4 of that, that's pretty much life, him being over 50 already, right? And Channy says, my mom was a single parent back in the day. She was dating a dude one time and I was 16. He brought a new car and gave me the keys. My mama cussed him out and we never saw him again. Yeah, your mom being right. Like, you overstepping your boundaries. That's my child. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it was, but maybe your mom saw that maybe he was trying to groom you, 16-year-old girl getting the car keys. Of course, you're excited about that. And car keys today, what else tomorrow, right? So, and more importantly, it doesn't sound like he asked your mom's permission and that she wasn't involved in the decision he made with you. So she made the right decision. Sharon say 47 people in, and it says the something OB. And I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. And then Jeffrey, how you doing? And Michelle says, oh, absolute control. I agree. Based on what the parents did in R. Kelly's situation, it would be a mistake. Yes, indeed. Yeah. I don't think parents should just be able to say, well, I know my 10-year-old, she's 10, but she looks like she's 20. And I think it's okay for her to be with Buster. No. Because unfortunately, some parents would be like, yeah, it's okay. She passed. Honeydew says, R. Kelly's ex-wife, am I supposed to watch her on TV and she allowed girls to be violated? Exactly. Why does she get a pass? She knew. She says she knew. But yet, like you said, she's on TV and she's this big-time victim and she's boo-hooing. And girl, stop. Sit down. You knew what you married as well. You married him after the tape. And I guess it was after the tape. I don't know. And definitely after Aaliyah. Now you trying to have some tears? Come on now. Michelle says, money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money. That's how it really goes. The love of money is the root of all evil, because if you read from the same Bible, it also says money answers all things. But it's the love of money, because you love money, you do just about anything for it, right? And Sharon says, praying my daughter like hanging. And he says, get what? I think your Google might be messing with you again. Hello, Jafia. How you doing? He says, hey, Demetria. How you? Oops. My comments jumped up. I thought I was getting a hold of him, but I am. Let's see. He says, how y'all doing? And sis, doing well. Again, Donovan is off out and about. He'll be back tomorrow. Harley, how you doing? He says, what I didn't get is how the hell is it okay for same sex to fornicate, but it's not okay for an older man or a woman to date people younger than them? Well, for what I understand, it's not okay. Well, I guess, I don't know, same sex can be together, but they can't be together with a younger person. It's the same everywhere. So regardless of your orientation, I don't think it's okay for you to be with a minor, because that's what NAMBLA is, that like that man boy love organization. That's what their thing is. They're like, we should be able to be with boys, and the law is like, no. So I don't think that's true necessarily. Hello, Reginald. How you doing? He says, hello, beautiful, Demetra. Thank you. And Sharon, you say yes. And Harley says, all of it is accusations. Very true. It is accusations at this point. We weren't there. I want to say it's he said, she said, but it sounds like they got a little bit more, like some tapes and stuff. I think it was the videos that somebody was holding. I don't know who it was, the brother or somebody. They came forward with them. Is it New York? New York or Chicago? Chicago. They're the ones, I guess, got the hold of the tapes first. And Kim Fox, the attorney general there, she's the one that went forward with the charges. So sounds like it's a little bit more than accusation. Now, of course, he's innocent until proven guilty. But yeah, for them to indict, they usually have to have something substantial to say that we're going to indict you, right? And Raul, how are you doing? And Jonelle says, I know firsthand how women will do a young boy. I was 5 when 2 molested me constantly. You say So women are not excused from messing with minors, just as guilty as the school teachers are. Youth need awareness, protection, especially in this society. You're absolutely right. It's not just the girls, and unfortunately, we do think it's just the girls, but it's the men. You know, at the time there were boys too, and you know, I'm sorry that that happened to you, but I've actually spoken to quite a few men who said that they were molested by women when they were young. So it's wrong all the way around to destroy a child's innocence, right? Hello, Eric. How you doing? Michelle says, oh, I hadn't heard about Bob Dylan. That's a shame. Yeah, that's, it came out this week, I think it was. And Jafia says, I hear a lot of spirit. He said, in R. Kelly's music, I actually feel a little sad for him because if you listen to his music, he told you that he was fighting demons. Yeah, it's sad that he didn't get help. And it's sad that, the yes people around him didn't check him or try to anyway, right? And you also say lots of songs that R. Kelly sang were actually to God, but most people think the songs were about women. Yeah, probably so, but it sounds like some of them were about Aaliyah and young girls, if you kind of listen to it. Of course, it doesn't say for sure, but it's open to interpretation. And Robin says, that's gross. I remember when I was in my teens and a grown man in his late 20s, early 30s came to the house to just gaze at me. I told my dad that stop. Exactly. Your daddy was like, all right, I got you. See what I'm saying? And Papa San, how you doing? He says, a lot of people forget about what drives artists to create what they do. It's like an artist that uses drugs to produce music. The public doesn't care about the process. They just want the product. Yeah, you're right. Just get it done, And I hate to say it, especially when it comes to, black girls, black women. It's like, I mean, look at the whole Me Too movement. White women were vindicated in that. Wasn't no black women vindicated. It was a black woman's movement originally. And white women came up like a biscuit and sopped it up and, ran away with it. It was a money grab, And that's why you say, why is anyone surprised? This has been going on since the biblical times and everybody want this to stop. We have to go to the root cause. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just think some people have a propensity, for young children, it's wrong, but you're right. It has gone on. So I guess some people will say, is it really morally wrong? But the law, when you're dealing with the law says it is wrong in most states to be with somebody under 18. Now, morally, I say it was wrong then and it's wrong now. I mean, give a child a chance. I couldn't imagine, I'm not trying to be graphic, but being a 12-year-old and having a grown man hump up and down on me. And I, have no idea of what's really going on. He doesn't see me as a suitable mate. He sees me as a plaything. So I don't think that's right, or for women to do it to boys. Like when I hear women doing it to boys, I'm like, what did you see in this child that excited you? It's just weird to me. I don't know. And then Stevie says some black people are taking on the same perverted ways as some white people. Yeah. Michelle says, right, he was musically gifted, but he made bad life decisions. I listen to his music and just pray he learns his lesson and pays his first consequences. Yeah. Sounds like that's what they're trying to have him do. And Olivia says it's crazy. My older cousin that molested us when we were younger actually brought that sex tape and invited people over to his house to watch it. Yeah, so, that was kind of his thing, right? He somehow probably got off on that. And, and I'm sorry that happened to you as well. And Jonelle says, we live in a sex-driven society as advertised in everything, even cartoons. So we all should be on our guard in this ever-growing intensely immoral society, from gay parades to same-sex bathrooms, gender roles being pushed on babies. Everything goes when there is no moral standard in society in which we live. Yeah, that is true. And Reginald, he says, Elvis Presley was an adult when he was dating Priscilla when she was 14. Yes, and that's documented. Frank says, Olivia, sorry that happened to you. Yes, indeed. And Michelle says, yes, I remember Elvis was basically grooming Priscilla. Yes, indeed. And Brother Samuel says, Demetra got good genes and she's a vegetarian. Yes, So yes, doesn't look like the normal 50-year-old. She looks far younger. Yeah, I hear that a lot, especially when I'm slim down, which is what I'm doing now, slim down. People are like, there's no way. And they think me and my daughter are sisters. I'm like, yeah, we're sisters. And it's like nails to a chalkboard to her. That's my mom. But thank you. Michelle says, I don't even remember what R. Kelly said in that 19-minute song. I wonder if anyone ever tried to tell him to get professional help. Seems like they just wanted his money. Yeah, he surrounded himself with a lot of yes people. Even the music teacher, the older lady who he, said was his mentor and his idol. Sounds like even she was just like, child, I ain't seen nothing. You know how them girls are, they fat, So sounds like she was on board with it too. Sharon, you say yes. Okay, let's see here. And then Michelle says, that's suspicious for a grown man to give a teen a car without the parents' permission. Yeah, could have been potential grooming, That's how it's done. And Kona, how you doing? You say at Jafia, how do you figure that the song he was singing were about God? Yeah, I don't know. I never got that impression. I definitely, especially, with some of his songs, like his earlier stuff, seems like you ready. It didn't sound like he was singing to God to me. I don't know. I don't see nothing wrong with a little bump and grind. I don't think he was talking about bumping and grinding with God. And Michelle says, we joked about all the lyrics in Aaliyah's first album as kids in school, good music with suspicious lyrical content. The title of the first album was A Sign of a Problem. I was glad she left. Yeah. Was it age ain't nothing but a number or something like that? Going down ain't nothing but a thing. It's like, look, girl, if you don't sit down somewhere, but R. Kelly wrote that for her. Thunder says, when it's men or boys, no one really cares. A lot of guys have stories about teachers and older female family members, and this creates the men that hurt young girls, and they grow up to hurt young boys. It's a cycle. Yeah, but again, people tell boys to take it on the chin. Oh, you should be happy you got with an older woman. Shoot, this pocket fine. All of that. But not realizing, well, who's to say that this boy wanted that to happen to him? How do you know he wasn't affected by that? To have some grown woman doing God knows what she was doing to him. He wasn't mentally or emotionally, physically even, ready to handle that. So, and it's your girl, too. How you doing? He says, good afternoon, Demetra in chat. And Steve says, well, God didn't set the camera up if his music is to God, right? With the, allegedly urinating on the 14-year-old. That I sure know that wasn't have nothing to do with God. Maybe a song or two was about God. He did have a gospel song not too long ago. I can't think of the name of it. So maybe that one was to God, but some of his other stuff, I don't think it was probable. I don't know. But people do strange stuff, And Frank says, we need to stop following white people's movement. We need to do for self. You better believe it. Say these people sick. Yeah, to a lot of people, and a lot of other cultures, that's normal, being with younger people, definitely younger girls, right? And you also say, but the music industry is wicked, has been for a very long time. And Jonelle says, I use my experience as a lesson of awareness for others in the future when we become a solid, independent nation that will not even be a thought among us in the society. We don't value the glory of God, which the human being, our children, which is our future. Absolutely. But you're right. Use it as an experience. I'm glad that I'm sure you had your issues with it, but you didn't internalize it and let it eat you up. Because experiences are supposed to be, if you follow the Bible, I tell you guys all the time, I don't go to church, but I do know the Bible. And it says that you're supposed to use your experiences as like bones in a bag, and you pull them out as testimonies to help yourself and to help others. And so our experiences should be used to, heal. It's like a double-edged sword, if you will, to heal and to help others. So good for you. And Honeydew, you say, Thunder, absolutely. This issue irks me to the core. Boys are the most underreported sex assault, especially when it's a male perp. Yeah. And boys tend not to report it because there's some shame in there, especially when if the perp is a man. It's like, I would never be able to tell anybody that because, for one, people are going to question me. Did I do something? And I don't want people to know that happened to me. And I've also spoken to men who said that was their case. I knew a guy who said his mom left him with her boyfriend. She just went to the store, left him with her boyfriend, and the boyfriend made him, do some things. And he said when his mom came back, she could tell her son wasn't the same. And she knew right away, and she tried to kill the dude, but her son was forever scarred because she just didn't think, or I guess she thought she could trust him. Maybe if it was a girl, she probably wouldn't have left him. But she thought, oh, it's a boy, he's a man, and they'll build some camaraderie, I guess. But that didn't happen. He took the opportunity to take advantage of her son to the short trip that she made to the store and back. So brought down, he say, all my women been older than me, even in my teens. Like, how much older? And Tawana, how you doing? He says, I have read so many stories of adults giving children under 18 herpes and HIV. Yeah, I've heard the same. It's just a sad situation. And like I said, I have a daughter. She's 28. I have nieces and nephews, and I try to do my best to mentor them, even up until the ages that they are now. But I think and I'm saying we in general, we let our children out of our sight too early. We think, they're old enough, they'll understand, don't know, stranger danger, or somebody's trying to do something to them. I think they'll know, and we trust them too early. We trust them being off on their own too early, especially around people they don't know. And they end up getting in those situations. But, how disgusting of an adult to do that to a child, for one, and then give them something they can't get rid of. It's awful. And we didn't even talk about the pregnancies that, the girls endure. And then some of the boys that end up in relationships with older women, they end up becoming daddies, while they're kids. One of the most famous cases of that of Mary Lou Letourneau, or Mary, whatever her name is. She was with her student who's 13 or so, and they ended up having kids, went to prison and all of that. So it's a mess. And I see y'all responses to Kona, and Frank says, Honeydew. So y'all want to know how does Kona, he said, how in the world did you assume that I was saying, that all of the songs were about God? I clearly stated some. Yes, indeed. And let's see. And Jafar, you say, when he said a woman, quote unquote, threat, he was talking about God. He talked about the things that could be taken from him, and they were things that only God could take. Okay. I think I understand where you're going with that, and how that could correlate. And Eric says, my mind telling me no. Yes. See how that automatically knew, right? Yeah. He says, then don't do it. Right. But he said his body was telling him yes. Right. So that's it's eerie once you kind of really think about it. Like, damn, it was all laid out in front of us, and we was, we didn't, like, it just went over our heads, right? And then let's see. And Jafia says there was a song. Where'd it go? It skipped up. There was a few songs on his TP3 album that was about God. One of the best gifts that we have is the ability to listen. Okay, that's very true. And Sharon says, God, good, never ever question me, not the one mess with him on. And And Sharon says, I'll rain on your head. Okay. You talking about Dave Chappelle? Is that what you're talking about? Jonelle says, that's what happened to Bob Marley's mother. She was raped by a white man at a young age and birthed Bob Marley. Yeah. There's plenty of stories like that. Plenty of stories. And Honeydew says, no offense, but the devil speak with false tongue. Character is built when no one is watching. You better believe it. That's integrity. That is the definition of integrity. What you do when no one is watching. And I always say, act as though somebody is watching, even though they're not. But you never know. They might be, right? Especially nowadays with all these cameras and Ring doorbells and everything. Hell, you always being watched. Always. So yes, indeed. And mother of one, how you doing? He said the parents should be held accountable too. Yeah, I agree with you. But anyone who knew or walked their kids up to R. Kelly and Bodyguard, the record executives who knew, family, anybody who knew what he was doing, I think they all should be co-defendants. I don't understand how they get to sit on a documentary and play as if they're innocent. You mean to tell me you're giving a first-hand eyewitness account to what happened, and you are not in behind bars with them? Make that make sense. And so that's why, to me, it's problematic with the documentary. And then I heard they trying to come out with like another part of it. But that's one of the problems that I have with the Lifetime documentary. Y'all taking these secondhand or these firsthand eyewitness accounts, but y'all not asking them. Again, I didn't see it, so maybe they did. Well, why did you wait so long? Or were they just eager to get the story? I mean, even Torre. You guys know Torre. He has been on television for years. He's the brother with the afro that kind of sticks up. He was on there talking about R. Kelly, and then he got into some Me Too stuff. And he said he was sorry for doing what he did, and all of that. So it's like y'all even had a dude who was doing some of the same stuff on there talking about R. Kelly. But how bad did they want that story to where they were just like, well, we gonna act like they didn't just give us an eyewitness account, right? Sharon says, but did listen, no. And Honeydew says, no offense to the chat. I mean, oh no worries. And then Sharon, you say terrible. And you also say good. And Jonelle says, people are always watching. Always watching. I know with my laptop, I have it covered up, the camera, because my nephew, who is a computer genius, he's like, if people wanted to tap into your webcam, they could be watching everything you do. Matter of fact, my daughter had a computer stolen, and he waited for them to log on, he being my nephew, tracked the computer down. We went over there with the police, and the lady opened the door, and the police was like, we understand, this young lady's computer is here. We just want it back. So she closes the door. Guess maybe she went to go talk to whoever had it. She comes back. She goes, there's no computer in here. So my nephew, he was on the phone at home with me, and he says, tell her that where this computer is, it's across from a TV that's sitting on a blue dresser. And he said there's a Del Taco. That's what the Mexican restaurant in California. There's a Del Taco bag next to the TV on that dresser. Described everything that computer could see. Do you know that lady looked like she saw a damn ghost? She goes, I'll be right back. Guess what she did? She came back with that computer. Freaked that lady out. And the police says, that's why I always cover up my webcam because on my computers, because you don't know who has the ability to watch you. And she says, you know what? Your nephew needs to get a job. I don't know where, but somewhere, because she says, we hardly ever recover people's stuff. She says, I don't know how he did it. She said, but that's a blessing, whatever he did. And it was a blessing that my daughter got her computer back because she needed it for school. So Just so you know. And rounding up these comments, and Jafai said, Dimitri, you are probably talking about the song The Storm Is Over. And maybe that's the name of it. So that was the one of his inspirational song. Yeah, it had a real big gospel feel to it. Is that the one? And Kona says, guilty by association, participating, his bodyguards, all of them. Yes, I agree with you. And Thunder says, a lot of men are being sexually harassed at work and they are too embarrassed to go tell supervisors. Yeah, because I'm a man. I've been taught to suck it up. You know, it's a good thing that a woman is trying to get with me, you know, even though they don't like it, but they're just taught to just, you know, man, what you complaining for? Something wrong with you? You know, that kind of stuff. Then they get to call them names, and so they just avoid it. And Sharon, you say yes, and Jonelle says, how much revenue did it make? People are only as concerned as the ratings. Yeah, we talk about the Lifetime series. Oh, from what I understand, I didn't watch it, but they played that thing over and over and over. It was, from what I understand, it was on a loop. They played it so much, you know, and it was all people talked about. It was on the radio, it was on TV, it was just everywhere, right? And you also say, watch the movie IT with Pierce Bronson. Okay, I have to check it out. And Honeydew says, hey, Frank, as a healthcare professional, this an area I stay at. This is an area I stay out of as a Gemini and sometimes empath. Yes, the client need a referral. Okay, so y'all talking to each other. Sharon says, last names matter. Might get people words messed up about who said what. Okay, so I got it. You know what, though? So far, Sharon, I only see one Sharon on here. Just to be honest with you. I'm looking back. I only see one Sharon. Maybe you see something I don't know. But Sharon Compton, that's the only Sharon that I see so far. So forgive me if I'm not reading something right. But yeah, they're the only one that I see so far. And let's see, let me get back to where I was. And Honeydew says, I also witness women lying about assaults. So I don't know. Oh yeah, that not, you know, they got this thing, believe all women, or believe women. Really? Some of them be lying, okay? And Connie says, but she wouldn't really check her about it. Or you talk about, you said to Thunder, I had this happen to me before on a job. I ended up quitting before HR would have took the female's word over mine, and she'd been friends with 20 years with warehouse lead. I told her lead what she was doing. Yeah, they wasn't gonna believe me. You tripping? She cute. You should take that as a compliment. All that kind of stuff, right? Jafai says, my webcam is always covered. This one, unfortunately, is not because I'm always on it, but my other one is. And Honeydew, you say, for real, Jafai, laugh my ass off. Yeah, Sharon Compton. I only see one Sharon on here, so I don't know. I haven't seen another Sharon. And Steve says, enjoy the show. Have a good evening, Dimitri K. and Loggers. Yes, I'm about to get off of here as well. And Sharon says, same words not in my message, nor sending. I don't know. I only just see you. It's weird. Maybe somebody got a hold of your webcam. I don't know. In this case, says, I keep my webcam covered up too. And Thunder says, the crazy part is I've seen men get fired when a woman gets angry and she can't get what she wants. Then she says that he's harassing her. Yes, indeed. So believe men too, right? So anyway, y'all, I don't see any more comments. I thank y'all. Sharon says, wow, I need to check. Yeah, because I only see you on here. I thank y'all for being here with me. Donovan should be back tomorrow, but if he's not, guess what? It's going to be me. I don't know what we'll talk about, but we'll talk about something. Peace unto you as well, Janelle. And yes, Sharon, cover your webcam up. I will be back here tomorrow at 3 Central Time, where it is Free Flow Friday. We talk about everything. You guys want to talk about something, bring it, put in the comments, and we'll definitely talk about it. So thank you to YouTube and Facebook, the other side of the conversation. You guys made this so much fun for me, even though my voice is like, I thank you. And thank you, Marcus Guyton, for everything that you do behind the scenes. I will see y'all tomorrow. And again, you know, we have a Cash App, getting more PayPal, or become a member, or, you know, the super chat, I guess it is. And I would appreciate that. Every little bit helps with supporting New Black Media. So you guys Do have a great evening, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.